SCP-051. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-051 and SCP-051-A are to be kept in a sealed containment facility. 051-A is kept within a locked, climate-controlled document box with a viewing window to prevent degeneration of its material. Any personnel, with the exception of pregnant or non-sterile female personnel who might not be aware of early stage of pregnancy, may access SCP-051 as long as the request is placed beforehand and cleared by the site administrator. Description: SCP-051 is a 25 cm, 10-inch, anatomically correct model of a human female curved out in ivory with typically Asian features. Microscopic analysis shows that the head hair is human hair. The doll is jointed at the shoulders, hips, and knees. The stomach area of the doll is fully removed as the cap of ivory exposing the detailed ribcage and organs, and a 2.5 1-inch ivory fetus connected to the main figure of a leather cord umbilicus. Description: SCP-051 when brought to the presence of a pregnant human female, SCP-051 has various deleterious effects upon the pregnancy, generally resulting in miscarriage of the fetus. Reports include a gentle compulsion to handle the model, open its stomach cap, and take out the fetus. This results in nausea and cramping within 5 minutes, vaginal bleeding, and then begins as spotting and may progress to hemorrhage within the next half hour, and miscarriage within 2 to 24 hours. In most recorded cases, medical records indicate the aborted fetus bears moderate to severe defects. Pregnancies carried in the term after exposure to the model have resulted in severely deformed live births, including redacted deaths of mothers and redacted infants terminated after birth by the delivering of the physician. See Interview 051-1 below. Witness to these live births showed signs of severe emotional trauma that was alleviated after Foundation interviewees by administration of Class A anesthetics. SCP-051-A is a fragment text on rice paper that was discovered with SCP-051. The surviving text is written in plant-derived ink. Text dates of the 12th century, and the characters have been identified as known as early dialected Japanese. Translation reveals the text as part of a prayer or spell against demons that attack unborn babies. The incantation orders these forces of demons into the model instead of a pregnant woman and claims to trap them there. However, centuries have degraded the paper and ink so the full incantation and instruction, if any, cannot be deciphered. Addendum: SCP-051 and SCP-051-A were discovered in a box of early Japanese artifacts delivered anonymously to the redacted museum in 1938. After 6 years and a number of incidents resulting from contact of female secretaries, researchers, students, an agent and staff of the museum archives and learned that the property is obtained in the factory for study. Interview 051-1. Interview Dr. David Ehrenfield. Interviewer Agent Redacted. Forward: Dr. Ehrenfield was attending a physician the death of Martha R. Redacted Museum, 2nd of January 1942. This interview was conducted off-site as Dr. Ehrenfield was a resident of Redacted Nursing Facility. At the time of the interview, he was 95 years old and physically infirm, though restraining most of his mental faculties. Class A anesthesia was administered after the interview. Begin log: October Redacted 2000 Redacted. Interviewer: Thank you for seeing me, Doctor. Dr. Ehrenfield: You are welcome. I've outlived most people and couldn't care and would care to hear such stories. Then again, they surely would have thought I was lying. I was telling lies or slipping into dementia. Now you may think the same, but at my age, I don't care. Then laughter. Interviewer: You think you can tell me you remember the events of January 2nd, 1942? Doctor: It was an ugly day. Cold and ugly. Redacted can be a wonderful city sometimes, but winter is a bad season. It was late in the evening when my housekeeper told me I'd been called. I was tired, but birth, that was always a wonderful experience. I thought it would cheer me up. Coughing, sound of the doctor sipping liquid. I had a nurse with me, but the girl never came back to the office after that night. 15 minutes perhaps for the cab to reach the museum from my house. I'm not certain, but I think so. The doorman was waiting for me. He had led me to the room where there was poor Miss R laid out on a low table covered with some canvas ground cloths, I think, to make her more comfortable. The interviewer: What was her condition when you arrived? Doctor: Thinking back now, I should have realized it was very bad, but I was young and had not much experience. She was quiet and only grunted with each contraction. She did not respond when I checked her vitals, signs, and spoke to her. She did not even look at me. There was quite a lot of blood. It eventually covered my hands as I reached down and began helping her with the birth. The floor was slick with it, and underneath her was the baby who was not crowned yet. She was dilated, and while contractions were quite close together, this made me fear that she may be having a breech birth. She showed a calm face, although I did not want to panic my nurse or the research doctor male, who was nearly a designated older man. Dignified older man, I believe I wanted to impress him. Pause, breathing sounds, more sipping. Interviewee, and then doctor. Doctor, I was concerned because of all the blood of her life was in danger. I told her to push, and she was pushing, and my nurse helped her, putting down word pressure on the abdomen as I attempted to manually aid the infant's emergence. I'll spare the details of the breech birth procedure. It can be found in an obstetrics manual at the time. I probed blindly and felt. I thought it was a coil of the umbilicals, perhaps tangled upon the baby's neck. I almost withdrew, thinking that an episiotomy would be required, and she tore through. I could proceed. Though there was more blood, the baby began to emerge into my hands. Pause. I had never seen such a thing. You were researched. Do you know much of the common cephalic birth defects? It was unknown. I thought at first the infant must be a stillborn. Its flesh is gray, not the runnings covered gray than normal birth, but a lifeless degraded, small decay. I recoiled at the poor mother screamed at her last push, and the infant was delivered in my arms, with a great amount of hemorrhage, and the deformity of speaking. The thoracic cavity is completely open, the limbs. But it wasn't stillborn. Doctor, I looked at me, I heard the nurse above me beginning the resurrection attempts, then heard her gasp and falter as she thought I had, gagging at the smell filled in the room. Tried to drop the creature, but clenched my hands, felt the skin begin to blister and crack. Strange how clearly I can remember it. At my age, sometimes I can't even remember what I had for dinner. The infant was almost double the length of a normal, viable fetus at 8 months, its lower body segmented. Coughing was choking, causing for 2 minutes. The interview assists doctor with a nearby oxygen mask. What did you do then? I began to laugh, and I killed it. Broke its neck while it looked at me. Were there ever any questions or consequences? Thin laughter. 1942, the country awarded 2 respected professionals men to give their testimony? No. Museum building had a furnace. I disposed of the infant's body myself. We claimed some more normal defect had taken the lives of the mother and child. Husband had a drug and cared for nothing but our life insurance policy. Believed he had drafted shortly therefore and died somewhere in France. Left my practice almost immediately. Never delivered another child. And log. Closing statement. Dr. Aaron Field expired 4 months later of pneumonia.